My name is Easy, and welcome to another episode of Easy Does It, where we react and review YouTube channels and sometimes do daily vlogs. Now this week we're going to take a look at a channel that does car videos. It's all about cars. You know, they say, automobile updates and info. The channel is called Top Intel. They have about 11,000 subscribers. So they're doing okay for the most part. A little low on the number, but not too bad. They got more than I do, so. Now, they joined in May of 23. So they've only been on for about a year. You know, that's crazy because I've been on, I think, for about a year or so. And I ain't got that many subscribers. I don't see how some of these channels, they instantly get like 100,000 subscribers and shit. And I was told it's because they're using bots to do it. I don't know. I don't know all about using bots. I've never used bots. So anyways, I've never seen anyone from Bangladesh on here. So that's a new one to me. That the guy is doing this channel is from Bangladesh. But we're going to check one of his latest. It's called 11 Super Rare Cars of All Time. I may have to fast forward a little bit in some of this just because, you know, it's over 45 minutes long, so that's a little long to me. So I may fast forward through a little bit of it. Just bear with me, and let's get to checking out this channel. See if it's any decent or not.
11 most rare cars of all time, and starting from the Bristol 412, produced by Bristol Cars, a company with a rich history which was born out of the Bristol Aeroplane Company in 1945. After World War II, they needed to branch out, and that's when they teamed up with Fraser Nash to create cars based on BMW designs. This collaboration gave birth to the Bristol 400, a luxurious car that set the standard for the brand's future. As time went on, Bristol started using American V8 engines in the 1960s, which gave their cars a serious boost in performance. This combination of British craftsmanship and American muscle became Bristol's signature style. At the core of Bristol's philosophy was the idea of creating custom, handmade cars for a select group of customers.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a car like that. It's pretty neat looking.
Like other car companies. Instead, they focused on quality, exclusivity, and attention to detail. This approach allowed them to carve out a unique spot in the car industry, appealing to people who wanted something special and one of a kind. Even as the car world changed, Bristol Cars stuck to their guns, making a small number of meticulously crafted vehicles each year. And in 1975, Bristol introduced
that's a little bit different,
which was a big departure from their previous models.
Yeah, I would say.
Designed by the Italian coach builder Zagato, the 412 had a unique cargo-style roof, which was rare for luxury cars at the time. This meant you could take off the roof panel and store it in the trunk, giving you the best of both worlds.
I'm not sure about that car.
And the sturdiness of a closed coupe. The first versions of the 412 had a big 6,556 cc Chrysler B-Series V8 engine under the hood, which gave it some serious get up and go. But in 1977, they downsized the engine to a 5,899 cc V8 to make it more fuel efficient and lighter, which also meant they had to tweak the front suspension. Inside, the 412 was all about luxury. It had leather seats, wood grain dashboards.
I don't care if it goes super fast.
Systems designed
I really
by
don't.
engineers who worked on the car.
As long as the engine will last.
The suspension was set up for a smooth, comfortable ride rather than sporty handling.
It worked smoothly. I don't have to
a great car
constantly take it to the mechanic.
Style and comfort. But the 412's unique look wasn't for everyone, which made it
And
rare
it looks
and highly collectible.
fairly
And
decent.
speaking of rare,
Doesn't
only
bother me.
98 Bristol 412s were made over 18 years. Each one was custom built to the buyer's exact specifications, so no two were alike. This level of customization
Okay,
combined
you're
with the
taking a
low
little
production
too long.
numbers.
Moving on.
The TVR Tasman, also known as the TVR 280, is a rare and unique sports car with a fascinating history. First introduced in 1980 by British automaker TVR,
It's okay
the Tasman
looking.
kicked off the company's Wedge series, known for its sharp,
Not
angular
bad.
design. When it comes to the Tasman's design and development, it was way ahead of its time. Oliver Winterbottom created the car's wedge-shaped body, inspired by the popular futuristic looks of the late 1970s and early 1980s. The fiberglass body panels not only gave the Tasman its one-of-a-kind appearance, but also kept it
I don't
lightweight
know,
and
that-
nimble. Ian Jones worked
That
on the
rear
chassis,
is a little
creating a
off. That
tubular
bubble
steel
on the
space frame
back
that made the
end.
car super rigid and safe. The
Why did
Tasman's
they put a
design was a
bubble
big
on
change
the
from
end?
the rounder shapes of earlier TVR models, setting a new path for the company's future
They
cars.
should have just left it
Inside,
square.
the Tasman was designed to be both practical and comfortable, with
I
a
don't
layout that put
like
the
the
driver
bubble on
first.
the end of it.
Now, let's talk about the Tasman's engine and performance. The car's 2.8-liter Ford Cologne V6 engine set it apart from other sports cars of the era. This engine was known for being reliable and delivering good performance with 160 horsepower in the Series 1 models. Combined with the car's lightweight build,
Again, I'm
this
not.
power led to impressive acceleration and top speed for its time. The later Series 2 models had a slight drop in power to 150
I'm not
horsepower,
really
but still had strong performance.
that worried
The
about the
Tasman's handling was even better thanks to its
the
well-tuned
speed and
suspension system, with double
shit.
wishbones in the
Like I
front
said,
and
it's gotta-
semi-trailing arms in the
It's got to
rear.
run good. See,
This
that's
setup
better.
struck
That
good
was a
balance
better
between a
model.
comfortable ride and sporty handling. TVR didn't make a ton of Tasmans, which is why they're so rare today. The company made around 1,167 V6 Tasman models, including different versions like the two-seater coupe.
Let's move on.
The 1960 Panhard PL17, a truly unique French car,
French. Huh?
made by Panhard et Levasseur, one of the oldest car companies in the world, started way back in 1887. They were known
Wow.
for being innovative, like when they came up with the System Panhard in
That's
the late
definitely old.
1800s, which set the standard for how we design cars today with the engine in the front and rear-wheel drive. Fast forward to 1954, and they introduced the Dyna Z, a super lightweight car with a body made from a special aluminum
It kind of looks
magnesium
like
alloy.
an elongated
It
bug.
was designed by Louis Bionier
Yo,
and had a
VW.
really futuristic look. The only problem was that aluminum got too expensive. So by 1955, Panhard had to switch to steel, which made the car heavier and more costly to make. This put a big financial strain on the company, and Citroën ended up buying a 25% stake in Panhard, which they later turned into full ownership by 1965. In 1959, Panhard launched the PL17 as an evolution of the Dyna Z. It kept the sleek design but used steel bodies to save money. The PL17's design was all about being aerodynamic and practical. They did a bunch of wind tunnel testing to get the shape
Seems
just
all right.
right, and it paid off with
Let's
a
move
really
on to the
low
next.
drag coefficient of 0 out there.
The Toyota
Toyota
2000 GT from 1967 is an incredible car
GT.
that holds a special place in automotive history. It's famous for its stunning looks, impressive engineering, and the fact that they only made 351 of them, which makes it super rare. Here's the story behind this amazing machine. Back in the early 1960s, Toyota wanted to step
Not
up their
bad
game
looking
and build
car,
a
it's
high-performance
alright.
sports car that could go toe-to-toe with the best from Europe and America, like the Jaguar E-Type and the Porsche 911. They teamed up with Yamaha, who knew a thing or two about making fast engines, and together they created the 2000 GT. When they unveiled the car at the Tokyo Motor Show in 1965, it was love at first sight. The 2000 GT had a long,
See?
sleek
There you
body with a low profile and a fastback roof that made it look like it was going
Honestly,
a million
don't
miles
care
an hour
about the
just
speed. I don't
standing
care if
still.
it goes super
It
fast.
was a total game changer for Japanese cars, which were known for being practical but kind of boring up until then. Under the hood,
It
the
just needs
2000
to
GT
last
packed a 2.0-liter inline-six engine that Yamaha
a
had
very
worked their
long
magic on.
time.
It could crank out 150 horsepower.
Doesn't need
which
to be
might not
taken
sound
to
like
the
much
mechanic.
today, but back
Like it
then,
hardly
was
ever
pretty
breaks
impressive.
down.
Paired with a 5-speed manual transmission, this car could hit a top speed of over 135 miles per hour. It also had a sweet suspension setup with double wishbones and coil springs on all four corners, plus rack and pinion steering that made it handle like a dream. Inside, the 2000 GT was
What's the
just
next
as
one?
cool as it was.
Moving on.
The Ford LTD LX, made in 1984 and 1985, is a car that many people have forgotten about, but it's got a really cool story behind it. Back in the day, Ford wanted to make a car that would be fun to drive, but also practical for families. They used the same platform as the Mustang, called the Fox platform, to create the LTD LX. At the time, American car companies were trying to come up with
I don't know
exciting
about back
designs,
in the
and
day, but I can
LTD
tell you
LX
right
was part
now,
of that trend.
Ford sucks.
Ford's goal was to make a car that would compete
Unless
with
it's a
European
truck.
and
Their
Japanese
trucks are
brands by
good.
combining the power of an
But
American
the
muscle car with
vast
the
majority
practicality
of
of an
Ford
everyday
cars
car.
suck.
Under the hood, the LTD LX had
They
a powerful
break down
5.0-liter
constantly.
V8 engine, just like the one in the Mustang. This engine could produce 165 horsepower, which was pretty impressive for a sedan back then. The car also had a 4-speed automatic transmission, making it easy for anyone to
Yeah.
drive. But the LTD LX
Next.
wasn't just about straight. The Marcos Mantis M70
Okay.
is a truly unique and rare car with an interesting history. Let's take a closer look at why this car was created, what makes it so special, and why it's so hard to find today. First, let's talk about how the Mantis M70 came to be. Marcos Engineering, founded by
Yeah.
Jim Marsh and Frank Costin in the late 1950s, was known for making cars with wooden chassis. But by the time they started working on the Mantis M70,
I mean,
they had switched to using a steel tubular frame
it's
instead.
okay, I guess, but it's a
This
little
was
bit.
part of their plan
I
to
don't
make
know.
cars that would appeal to
It
more
looks a
people.
little weird.
When Marcos unveiled the Mantis M70 at the 1970 London Motor Show, it was a big deal. This car was
See, I don't
different
like
from
the
their
back.
usual two-seater sports cars
That bubble,
because it had 4 seats. Marcos
you know,
wanted to create a car that could be
futuristic
used for
type
everyday
look
driving,
on the
but
back
also be
end. It
taken
just
out for a
looks
fun
silly
weekend drive.
when
The
cars,
Mantis
when
M70's
manufacturers
long, low
make cars
profile
like
and
that.
eye-catching style were meant to get people's attention at the show. One of the smart choices Marcos made when building the Mantis M70 was using the engine from the Triumph TR6. This engine was known for being reliable and powerful, which helped make sure the car would
Next.
perform well. Still around, and some of them are shown at classic car events around the world. The Mantis M70 is so valuable to collectors because it's rare, has a unique design, and is an important part of car history.
Yeah, I'd say it's.
The Ginetta G21 is a fascinating sports car that was created by Ginetta Cars, a British company founded by the Wauchlet brothers back in 1958. These guys were total car nuts and loved engineering, which led them to start their company in Woodbridge, Suffolk. At first, they focused on making kit cars for racing and sports use, and they had a lot of success with models like the G4 in the early 1960s. This helped establish Ginetta as a company that could build lightweight,
That's all
high-performance
right.
sports cars
Well, looks
that
okay.
could really compete on the track.
I wouldn't
But by
mind
the
owning
late
something like
1960s,
that.
things were changing in the car world.
Not bad looking.
People weren't just looking for raw performance anymore. They also wanted cars that were comfortable and could be used for everyday driving. Ginetta saw this trend and decided to expand their lineup beyond the basic kit cars and racing
I was talking
machines they
more
were
like
known
the
for.
one they were using
That's
for
how
the
the G21 was
sports
born.
track.
It was supposed to be a fully
This
built,
one's okay,
road-ready
I guess,
sports car that could take
this
on
model
the big
here.
brands while still keeping
But I like
Ginetta's
the other one
signature
better.
lightweight, performance-focused style. The G21 was
Okay,
a big step
yeah.
forward for Ginetta in
That's
terms of
all right.
design and engineering. Unlike
Moving
their
on.
earlier models, it had a
Because they're just going to talk about the
The
engine and
Triumph Acclaim, a car
crap
made
like
by
that,
British
so.
Leyland, and we'll call that BL for short.
triumphant
They
acclaim.
produced the Acclaim from 1981 to 1984, and it was the last car to have the Triumph
Well, that's
name
pretty
and the first
generic
important
looking to
product to come
me.
from BL working with Honda. This team up was a big change in how BL made cars,
You probably wouldn't
bringing
even
together
know that's
Japanese
rare, I
engineering and
guess.
British manufacturing. In the late 1970s, British Leyland was having a tough time. The company was losing money, dealing with strikes, and had a
Moving
bad
on.
reputation for making unreliable cars.
I don't care
To
about
fix these
this car.
problems,
This car
BL
looks
needed a new plant.
dumb. Didn't like that one.
The Panther J72 is a
That's more
one-of-a-kind
like
car
it.
with a fascinating history.
I like that car.
It was made by Panther Westwinds, a British company started by Robert Jankel in 1972. Jankel wanted to build high-end sports cars that mixed modern tech with classic looks. The J72 was Panther Westwind's first car, and they only made about 368 to 376 of them from 1972 to 1986.
Well, that's pretty
The
rare.
look of the Panther J72 was heavily inspired by the Jaguar SS100 from the 1930s, which
That's
was
not a
known
bad
for being
car either.
stylish and sporty. Panther Westwinds wanted to capture the cool factor of the SS100, but with modern mechanical parts to make it reliable and high-performing. This blend of old-school looks and new-school engineering was a big draw for car lovers who liked the classic style, but wanted something they could actually drive every day. The J72's body was carefully crafted by hand out of aluminum, which is
It
lightweight
looks a
and
little
tough.
wide.
It had a long hood, round headlights, and wire spoke wheels that gave a nod to the classic cars from before World War II. Inside, the J72 was decked out with fancy touches like leather seats and wood dashboards that could be customized to the buyer's taste. This attention to detail and the ability to make each J72 unique was a big part of its appeal. Plus, the J72 had modern Jaguar engines, from a 3.8-liter straight six
And
to
go
a
with the
beefy
engines again.
5.3-liter V12,
Moving on.
which gave it way more power than the original. The Jaguar XJ12 came out in 1972. This luxury sedan was special because it had a strong engine, looked great, and had some really advanced tech for its time. The story of the XJ12 starts with Jaguar.
I don't
a
know
British
about
company
looking
that's been
great.
making fancy cars since 1922.
It don't look
By
anything
the late
special to
1960s,
me.
Jaguar needed something
Looks
new to make
okay.
people excited about their cars again.
Looks like a
That's where the
regular
XJ
looking
series
car to
came in.
me.
Starting in 1968. The XJ name actually meant Experimental Jaguar, which shows how new and different these cars were. The XJ12 showed up a few years later in 1972. It was the top-of-the-line version of the XJ series. What made it really stand out was its big 5.3-liter
Of
V12
course,
engine.
the engine.
This was the same engine used in Jaguar.
I don't give a flying fuck
The
about the
XJ12
fucking
was actually
engine.
the first car in the world to
I
have
don't
a
care if
12-cylinder
it's
engine.
fast. It just needs to be
The
able
Bond
to
Equip is a
last
rare and interesting British sports car
and not break
that was
down.
made by Bond Cars Limited between 1963 and 1970. What makes this car so special
Bond
is a
mini
combination
car.
of its unique history, cool design, and the story of the company behind
How
it.
is that a
Bond
cool
Cars Limited started
design?
out in Preston,
It
England,
looks
making
dumb. I
affordable
hate
three-wheeled
fucking
vehicles like the popular Bond
bubble
mini car,
fucking
which
shit
came out in
on the back.
1949. These early cars were really basic, often using small
That
motorcycle
three,
engines to keep them cheap to buy
I've
and
seen
run.
those before.
The
The,
success of the mini
First,
car
this-
allowed Bond to start
the
thinking
middle,
about making
a
four-wheeled
tiny
cars
wheel
to
in the
compete in a
front.
bigger
It's just
market and
dumb.
appeal to more customers. When it
No,
came to designing the Bond Equip,
no, I didn't.
the company
You're
made
lying.
some innovative choices. They
Those
used
are
a
dumb.
fiberglass body, which was pretty cutting edge at the time. Fiberglass is lighter than metal and doesn't rust, which is a common problem for cars. The Equip's design was modern and sporty, with a sleek aerodynamic shape that looked great and helped the car perform better. Bond
Really?
also decided to use the
I don't
chassis
think
from the
so.
Triumph Herald, which was a smart move.
Eh,
It saved them money
it's
on
alright
development
looking.
and made sure the car had a solid foundation. By working with Triumph, Bond was able to make the most of both companies' expertise. The Bond Equip came in a few different models, each with its own cool features.
I hate
The
that.
GT2+2 was
bubble
the first
back.
one
I hate
and
it.
had room for
That
4
looks
people,
alright.
making it practical for small families or anyone who needed extra space. It had a 1,147cc engine from the Triumph
Oh, God,
Spitfire,
here we go with the
which gave it
engine.
pretty
Oh,
good
that's a
performance
nice
for its
car.
size. In 1964, Bond introduced
Uh,
the GT4S,
Again, the bubble
which had a
back.
redesigned body with
I
twin
hate that
headlights and a bigger
curved
interior.
bubble back.
It was more
Fuck
refined,
that
with better
shit.
finishing and extra features like a trunk that actually opened. The GT4S 1300
Let me know
came
what
out
you
in
guys think of that
1967,
curve.
had an
See,
even
it's
more
got a
powerful
curved bubble back. I hate that
1,296cc
shit.
engine.
Let me
But
know
the
what
top of the
you
line
guys
model was the
think of that.
2-liter with a big
Are you into the
1,998
engines
cc
that
six-cylinder
give
engine.
a lot of
You could get it
speed?
as either a coupe or a
You have to
convertible.
have a ton
So,
of shit ton of
why is the Bond
speed
Equipe so rare?
instead of a
Well,
car
for
that
starters,
just
they only made
lasts and doesn't break
4,389
down.
of them
That's the only
between
thing I care about the
1963
engine.
and 1970. That's not a lot of cars. When Reliant bought Bond Cars Limited in 1969, they decided to stop making the Equipe in 1970, which meant no more new ones were produced. The
Okay.
fiberglass body was both a good and a bad thing. It made the car lighter and less likely to rust, but it also made repairs trickier.
It looks
You need
okay,
special
but
skills to fix fiberglass properly. Because of this, there aren't as many Bond
there's
Equipes
that
still
bubble
around
back
today,
again.
which makes them
I
really
hate that.
rare and desirable for collectors.
No, I don't
Driving
like
a Bond
bubble back.
Equipe is a really unique experience. The lightweight fiberglass body and Triumph mechanical parts make it nimble and
Yeah.
responsive, so it's a lot of fun to drive. The suspension from the Triumph Herald makes for a
Sure it
comfortable ride,
is.
and the engines have enough power to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
But keeping a Bond Equipe in good shape can be a challenge because of the special fiberglass body. You need specific skills and materials to repair it, which can be hard to find.
See,
People who own these
I don't want cars
take a
where
lot
you
of
gotta
pride
fucking
in
repair
restoring
it all
and
the
maintaining
time.
them.
Well, that's the end of that one. Like I said, the channel's name is Top Intel. Check it out if you want. I skipped through a lot of the stuff where they would just go on and on about the damn engine and shit. I don't care anything about that shit. I just wanted to take a look at some of the cars, what they considered rare. A lot of times, I've seen a couple of these car videos. You know, they'll rarest cars from the 1970s or 60s or something like that. You know, just various stuff. But you'd be surprised that it's usually regular Smojo cars, like box cars and shit. It's just like, well, that just looks like a standard car. It don't, from that time, it don't look like anything unique. But they consider them unique, and I'm just like, why? It just looks like a generic box car, a regular vehicle. Anyways, there's tons of these car channels. You can check out this one if you want. It's Top Intel. But I'm just letting you know there's tons of these channels that do these cars. List channels that do cars, about cars. Check it out if you want. Again, the channel's called Top Intel. It's okay. It's not bad. I just think, him going on and on about the engines, just, you don't need to talk for 20 minutes about a damn engine. Just talk about the car's look and design, and then say, okay, well, it had this type of engine in it, and then move the fuck on. But no, he'll talk a while about that damn engine. But some people are into that speed, the type of speed the engine gives them and shit. I'm not. Anyways, again, check it out if you want. That's all I have for you this week. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.